So, hello everyone, welcome to another insightful episode of Expert Edge series, wherein I bring you insights from the most inspiring and accomplished professionals on fields related to personal and professional transformation. My personal favorite is mindset transformation. So, today I have the immense honor of hosting Sonal Pardiwal, who is a therapist, stress navigation specialist, professional certified coach, and moreover, she has spent over 25 years empowering individuals to navigate stress and unlock their full potential. And more likely, Sonal, I have been watching a lot of your videos on LinkedIn. That's how we got connected. So, first, Sonal, I would like you to introduce yourself to the people around.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much for having me, Jyoti. I have been also seeing all your latest posts and videos, and I've been like really thrilled with the work that you're putting in, especially because so much of things are changing, and we all at one point are always thinking, what new careers can I, embark upon? So your work is really, really amazing that I'm seeing. Because most of us, including myself, have, at so many points asked what next I can do. Yeah, so it's amazing work. Uh,
Thank you, Sonal.
Answering your question, I completed my master's in counseling psychology in 1996 from University of Mumbai. So the first 2 years I worked in a school. After that, I have been on my own. But then I worked with diverse populations, as in I worked with adolescents. So for a while, I was dealing with their academic mainstreaming because children would come with learning challenges. And in India, mostly everybody wants like, no, my child can't stay at home. Child has to go to school, so let's mainstream. So there would be a lot of. Sometimes I double down as a remedial teacher also for them, because in India we can't refer. Your if the parents don't appreciate that, okay, I'll not take my children from. And 20 years back, that awareness was also not so much there. So not only would I end up dealing with their behavior concerns, I would also deal with their parents, their academic issues, learning challenges. So a lot of workshops, lot of parental workshops, parent relationship workshops, all of those things I did for almost 20 years. In between, of course, I meandered a bit into, how do you say, alternative healing also for my own family. That was not a little commercial part, but for my family, because my son had a blood condition. So we can't give him a lot of allopathy medicines. But at the same time, we had to manage a lot of like 2, 3 year old kid, you had to manage a lot. So a lot of other things I learned around that time. So that was, I became a Reiki grandmaster, then a crystal therapist, then essential oils therapist. And then people came to me that we want to learn. So then I had these small audiovisual courses that I had put out on Facebook and WhatsApp. For that, we also homeschooled our children. I have two sons. So after some point, we realized school is not something that is, serving our children. So we opted out of schooling system, and we actually now both of them are adults, and both of them are working very well, because the essential question everybody asks, if you get them out of school, how will they earn? But they learn amazing amount of skills. There was so much exposure. So that parenting journey personally also was wonderful with me and my spouse and my two sons. So today they are very happily and healthily earning. So that is another aspect of me. Pandemic was the time when everything shifted. Like all my work was in person. All of my work, this whole LinkedIn thing is so new for me. When I was working, the referrals used to just come. One person told the other told the other told the other. And from 20 years, we were in that local area of service. There was never any time I had to advertise anything. If people had that thing, okay, your child is not studying, send her to that person. Your parents are having problems, send her to that person. So the referral system was like that. But in pandemic, it all kind of shut down. And children are not such happy beings interacting online. So even parents were not very happy interacting online. So that whole part of my life kind of shut down. So in 2020, that's why I said your work is so beautiful, because in 2020 I had to face the problem. What do I do with my service? I've learned all this. What do I do with it? So that's the time when I had to learn to bring my skills online. And the whole thought, that I can do this, what we are doing right now, to offer therapy face to face, was, or coaching for that matter, was totally an alien concept, and I had to learn how to do all of this. I came online and I was taken in as a contractor in Vetra. That's where I came to know about ICM. So there it's like they are very clear about that this is the certification we want for anybody to continue. So then a whole exploration began. What is this? Let me see. And it was a wonderful personal transformation for me, because not only did I upskill, but it's like for 1.5 years when I put myself, I structured myself in a little bit of Americanized way. The whole unskilled thing became structured. That's what you all are seeing in my post today, that I'm able to take that small chunk and put it out that, okay, this is how you have. So then there is this talk of niche. So I was like breaking, because we were generalists. When we came out as a counseling psychologist, we were like, we handle everything, because we were taught marital counseling, we were taught children, we were taught alcoholic and all the addiction areas and everything. So when somebody asked me, what is your niche? It was kind of like, what is my, what do I do? I mean, I deal with everything. I mean, because I would be taking family therapy sessions, couple sessions, parents, children, because when I was dealing with children, I mean, without handling the parents, it was not possible for me to influence the children. So it's like, what is my niche? So then it came out that stress is something that I am primarily dealing with, especially the stress that we generate ourselves. Half of the time we are looking at a situation and how I think about this situation, what past I've had, and what emerges within me in a situation. And the moment I start thinking, this is outside the scope of my resources, that's when I start feeling stress.
So that's
my job.
That's a very vast experience, Sonal, and it is said that until and unless you are growing, you cannot help others to grow. So we have heard from Tony Robbins and Arfin Khan as well that first is your growth and then your contribution. So if these two things are not there in your life, that means you're not living a fulfilled life. So that is really important. So my question for you, so that people can get benefited, is you mention in all of your posts or most of your posts that all the stress stems from our thoughts, beliefs, and expectations. So how did you come to this realization in your own life, and how can you help others to understand how it shaped your approach to coaching, and how can people help themselves understand the root cause of this stress?
Okay, a lot of questions. Let us take one after the other. I do agree that yes, unless and until you have not been in the trenches and come out of it, you'll not be able to show that roadmap to anybody. Yeah. So that part I do agree. What I do feel is that if you look at two people, the whole tapestry of two people, you tell one person that, okay, see, tomorrow I'm going to, do an interview with you. And the person starts saying, oh my God, what will I speak? No, I need time to prepare. I will speak to you after 1 week. No, I don't. Immediately they are starting to tell themselves, I'm not capable of this. And they are starting to feel that, how do you say this, stress. Like we call in stress, we have this green zone, yellow zone, and red zone. So the green zone is the time when you're peaceful, when you are in your parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest phase, everything is fine. You are completely at well-being state of yourself. Then you have that yellow zone where you start feeling a little restless. Like, you start getting those bursts of cortisol spikes in your body. And the red zone is that stress zone when you have started thinking in negative terms about the outcome that faces. Compared to that, if I have one person and you say, okay, let's do this interview. I'm like, okay, let's do this. All right. However it will happen, we go ahead. Now, I am not thinking that this situation is outside the scope of my experience. And that's why I'm not feeling any stress. So it's how I think about it. It's a simple thing like, if somebody tells in the evening, if I and my spouse, so we are two very different people. If somebody tells me, let's go to the beach, I'm like, yes, come on, let's go to the beach. Doesn't matter. But if I ask my husband, let's go to the beach, my husband has to think, oh, we'll drive the car, there'll be traffic. So the moment he starts thinking like that, what is also happening, of course, it's practical thinking, but he in his heart is generating a level of, this can't be handled. We cannot cope with this. So that internal machinery that starts telling you that we can't do this, it's outside our
scope. It can be difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. What happens is your body starts reacting. What we
Mm-hmm.
essentially call stress, at least I call stress, is the body starting to feel differently. You will have a heartbeat going up.
Mm-hmm.
You will have, hands, little tremor in your hands, or
Mm-hmm.
at the back of your neck, you start feeling warm. These
Mm-hmm.
are your reactions telling you that, yes, you're going into that zone of stress and your well-being is going to be like impacted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as simple as I can put it for people, that how do you know you are in stress? The moment you start telling yourself, this what is facing me is
Mm-hmm.
something I can't do, and my body starts having those reactions. That's where my stress is mounting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always about how I talk with myself at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is happening, of course, from childhood, how we handle situations, how did we have a trauma behind us? Did we have any events around this, what is happening to me right now? That all also matters and comes into the whole equation. But
Mm-hmm.
immediately anybody wants to know stress, this is what is your stress.
Mm-hmm. They very nicely explained, Sonal, regarding the yellow zone, green zone, and red zone. It will help people to identify how their body are reacting to a situation. Whether and there is nothing called I cannot do it. It is doable. It is not impossible. It is doable. That is something that I learned from my one of my mentors, Rochelle Listener. She talks about it a lot. Now, we have seen people around us, maybe our family members or maybe some friends or colleagues. So, how do you approach individuals who are resistant to changing their thought pattern? People are not ready to accept that they are in stress, right? So, it is something to do with the thought pattern. That's what I believe. So, what are the techniques you find most effective in helping them break through their own resistance?
A complicated thing, we'll try and make it simple. So I meet two types of people. One are the ones who are my clients. All right. They are in the situation with a very dim realization that something needs helping.
Mm-hmm.
So there, my work is little easier, as in I get to talk to them, look at their situations, and ask them questions around the situation and what would they want to see happening,
Mm-hmm.
and what is stopping them. So that part is easy for me to navigate. But of course, a whole lot of active listening has to be employed when I am in the position of a coach or a client.
Mm-hmm.
You are right that in the first session or even in the second or the third session, they don't own up to the fact that they are in stress. And
Correct.
that has something to do with our society.
Mm-hmm.
In a very, this way, I do sometimes feel that we live in a trauma blind society. As in, we don't know how to hold space for other people's discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment somebody starts talking something that is a little uncomfortable, today we have a term, oversharing.
Mm-hmm.
That's true that some people do speak a lot, but the moment they start talking uncomfortable things, something in us becomes discomfort
Mm-hmm.
oriented. And then we are like, no, I don't want to feel this unpleasant feeling. Stop talking about it. That's where the whole thing of positivity comes in. Oh no, always think positive. Oh no, you can't speak like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that plays in my session a lot, because it takes a very long time for people to own up that I am feeling the stress, but that does not mean I'm bad or wrong in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while for me, at least in the sessions, to talk to the clients and normalize it. That it's okay you're going through this. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay if your heartbeat is rising when somebody discusses that, okay, there's going to be a deadline. But it's okay if you start feeling numb when somebody talks about a confrontation or somebody sends you a public speaking assignment your way. So it's okay, it's normal, and we can navigate through it. Because there's a very important thing you need to know about stress is you cannot avoid stress.
Correct.
You can navigate it. You learn to manage it. So what we as a society we do need to do is we need to become okay with other people giving us a certain amount of their discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to deal everything. So that is why I said the type of people I meet in my session, it takes a session, 2 session, 3 session to go into validating their feelings, making them psychologically feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. You can, talk about these things and nothing you say is about, no, you can't talk. We don't shut down anything. So that's where they come to this, that yes, this is happening and I want to change it. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how, at least in the sessions, I can break through. The other type of people I meet are my regular people. my friends or my colleagues, and I cannot help but be there with my knowledge. So there also, I have a very big window of people being able to share their discomfort. After a while, of course, I have learned to sit there and tell them, look, this is something that you're talking requires therapeutic or coaching intervention. This is not the space. We are, taking up the limelight by discussing this so much. Would you be willing to have a session? Can I refer you to somebody? So that is how I will validate first that yes, whatever you're going through is okay. And it's also okay to go seek professional help. Yeah, and I do have these handy tips and tricks. If you want, I will share. So there are very little things you can start doing, even if you're not going to do a full therapeutic session. The moment you start feeling anxiety, there are a lot of things you can do. So whenever you're ready, you can tell me. We will upfront do it here itself. So, and some things that people can do at home. Okay, so we can get, but even before that, if you have it, have I answered that whatever you asked right now?
Yes, exactly. So Sonal rightly explained, there are certain patterns that we have been carrying, and I have seen a lot of people carrying that stuff, and they, at one moment, they start enjoying that. They start enjoying the word of mouth that they are telling this to the friends, the colleagues, and everyone, and they enjoy being in the victim mindset. So being in profession for 15 years in with corporates, I've seen this firsthand. So my next question is for working professionals who feel overwhelmed and stuck. They don't know they are in stress, but they are feeling like this is something that I cannot do. So the first step that you were saying that you can share some of the practices, how can they start unlocking their full potential, managing the stress and overcoming from it?
Okay. So I have two immediate things they can start doing. Of course, some of the steps may or may not sit with them. So I will share different things. What you can do, first thing, yes, the oversharing part in professional culture is not acceptable. Because when you start unloading, we call it, other people are not going to be happy and they are not equipped to handle it. Right? So the first thing, best thing we can do for each other is when somebody starts sharing a lot, listen to it, acknowledge that yes, you have something very disturbing to share, but I don't think I'll be able to help you. Let us, would you be willing to check some professional support? That's the part we always tell that, everybody should have a coach. If not a therapist, everybody should at least have a coach where you go, you talk to them and kind of come back with a better mindset, because when they ask you questions and all, and you shared your stuff there. So that is the one thing that I tell everybody, have a coach. If not a therapist where you don't want to go into mental health condition diagnosis and all, fine. Have a coach. Talk to a coach like regularly once in 15 days. So that's one thing. If there is also another thing you should do is you should have a self-care program of self-talk. Like we said earlier, all the stress is generated in our thoughts, in our minds. What we start talking to ourselves. So the moment the boss tells you that, okay, today evening we have a meeting. What we start doing is we start immediately giving ourselves negative evaluation.
Am I in trouble?
Yes, I'm in trouble. Oh, that particular deadline didn't go well. Oh, some negative feedback has come. We never stop and think something nice also this person might have to say. Right? So there, the first thing when you start the spiral of negative talk with yourself, the first thing to do is stop. Tell yourself, actually, literally stop. Second thing you do is do a little bit of breathing. Have you heard of box breathing? I'm sure it's like pretty popular. Okay, the simple thing you do is you breathe to 4, counts of 4. See, you do it, you'll automatically start feeling better. So you take a breath. Simple. So you are in the middle of a meeting, your boss has asked you for this. First breathe, then tell yourself, stop this negative spiral. Acknowledge that, yes, I'm starting to have all these negative feelings, and then have these 5 sentences ready in your mind that will, kind of bring you back. Because I've today only put a post on, triune brain, that we have three brains. We have one is reptilian brain, one is an emotional brain, and one is the neocortex. Our professional culture needs our neocortex. We need to think, plan, everything. But what happens is when we start this negative spiral, we become numb. You've seen we are sitting on the table, but we don't know what to do, what we are touching. So the first thing we need to do is tell ourselves, it's a meeting. It's a meeting. Whatever feedback comes, I can handle it. Whatever feedback comes, I am capable of taking it. If my boss, and then have a if then. If my boss says this is what I'm going to do. We never do that. We just go without preparation into the boss's cabin, only thinking that something terrible is going to happen. So that in our language, we call it catastrophization. Fortune telling that something bad is only going to happen. So bring yourself back with some breathing. If you're at home, another thing to do, if you're at home, most of us are working from home. And if you feel that your heartbeat has gone, your speech is going there, what you can do is, if you can't tolerate, bring an ice pack. There is a medical ice pack. It's a huge polyvagal science behind this. Bring in an ice pack, put it on your chest, your chin, and your cheeks, and your cranial nerves. Just for 30 seconds. If you're at home, that's okay. So this is something that will immediately bring your anxiety levels down, and it will give your body and amygdala the message that everything is safe.
Wow.
So you will still be able, this is a science-backed thing, it's not a mumbo-jumbo. Actually, Stephen Porges is the person who's come up with polyvagal theory, and they are the ones who are saying that to get your vagal tone back into action, to get that feeling of safety, ice. If you cannot find ice, go drink something really chill. As in, if you're a diabetic, of course, don't go and take a big beverage or something, but something that you can drink, something that is cold.
Even water will do.
Sweet. Yeah. Or go, they say that if the panic has hit very high, just take a splash on the face. That's why if we have seen many people go out in the bathroom and wash their face. It's a very instinctual thing to do. But ice pack is something that works very well with any kind of anxiety. The moment you feel your heartbeat rise up, your hands start trembling. If you have ice with you, please apply. So along with breathing, when you do this ice pack thing, it brings your, the activation of sympathetic nervous system a bit under regulation, and your sympathetic nervous system will and then when you're talking to it, I can handle this. If this is the feedback I get, this is the answer I'll give. If they are going to give me more work, this is how I am going to set a boundary. So the if then is ready, then your brain is prepared. That's why I say neocortex is what we need to deal with in our professional. So the moment your if and then is ready, if you have these 5 scenarios ready, you go in the cabin, you're a lot more composed, and you'll be able to handle the meeting well. Instead of, if you had entered the meeting with something bad is going to happen, I'm going to be fired, demoted, or whatever. So that fear starts. Don't allow the fear to take, center stage in your brain.
There's something really interesting, Sonal. Even along with the viewers, even I'm going to follow this advice of ice pack, because that is something that is new to me as well. Now, when we talk about the corporate culture, dealing with corporate, so I have seen a lot of corporate professionals who are at the particular designation since they have joined the organization, maybe 7 years, 10 years, 12 years, same organization, same designation, no growth, no learning opportunity. And then they give themselves this layman excuse that I'm not able to get promoted because a boss is biased. Or maybe somehow the other reason that they have themselves have cooked in their mind. And this is something called, which I deal with my clients, there's something called limiting beliefs, right? So people do have limiting beliefs about themselves. They don't look and go in the market, upgrade their skills, and don't do anything about it at all, and then they give themselves this layman excuse. So what do you see as the most common limiting belief people hold about themselves, and how do they help them break free from it as per your experience?
What happens when there is a certain amount of, like you say, some years they are spent, a comfort zone comes in. Right, you put up on your post today only that a comfort zone comes in, and everything is so settled for me now. I am going to work, I'm getting a paycheck, I'm delivering whatever is necessary at that optimal level. why do I need to do anything more?
Yes.
Right? That's the whole comfort zone comes in. That why strive for more? Because the moment you have to do anything new, you have to put in what we call as effort.
Correct.
And that effort requires energy from your end. Also, you require to have new strategies. If you're going to go and do something new, you'll have to actually come out of that comfort zone and create new strategies, methodologies, go out there and learn something, talk to new people, do new things. So that is the thing. Earlier you spoke about victimization. So when in my session people come up with, now nothing can happen. I've reached here, I can't even change my career kind of thing. So we go and explain them a little bit of who has the power in this situation.
Correct.
Till your language is, they will not approve. They will not let me do this. They will not, make this happen. My boss will never agree. What you are doing essentially is giving your power, the power to design your life in the hand of this another person. Yes.
Very
so the
true.
moment as a coach, you ask the question that in your life, who has the power? If they start changing that vocabulary to, I am right now not ready to go ahead and do something new. I am right now not ready to be able to do this, or I am not making those efforts to go out there and do things. Like I wrote in your post today that I am working on this comfort zone from Monday. I am trying, but I am not doing it. Till I keep the power in my hand, what happens is that also goes to follow that I have the power. The day I decide to change, I will go ahead and change. Yes, so that is what I do, at least in my coaching session, is that I ask the client that who is having the power to design your life. And that in professional corporate culture, everybody needs to ask themselves from time to time. Who is having the power to design my life, my boss or me?
Correct.
Okay,
That's so true.
The moment you answer my boss, then you have given your power to the boss. So then it is like, what will it take for you to take that power back?
Very
that's a simple question. What will it take to bring that power back? So if they say that, okay, so we try and ask them that, would you be willing to check your vocabulary? Would you be willing to change it into they to I? And give out whatever weak statements come out, doesn't matter. But it is, I am not making this effort. I am afraid to go ahead and do this. But at least when you keep it with your I, the I has the power to change. And the moment the I changes, everything starts changing.
Very true, Sonal. Actually, a lot of people do crib about the bosses, the situation, the environment. They are not in the right department and all. And that make them sulk in that journey for years. And the only thing that they come up with is a handsome paycheck that they are getting on 26th or 28th or 30th of every month, right? And they have killed all their desires, goals, and everything. So that means they are in the long-term, stress that we can call about.
Yes.
So in today's fast-paced world, what we see around, long-term stress management is critical. So how can we help the clients create sustainable practice? Because everyone is running after quick fixes. They will talk to their family members, they will give some quick fix, and that quick fix is not going to help them in the long run. So what are some practical strategies that they can do apart from consulting a coach or a therapist or a psychologist?
Become aware of your internal talk. Yes. What we say in our therapy sessions often, knowing does not amount to doing. Okay, as in, I know that I should set my boundaries, but do I set those boundaries? So when you're sitting there and saying my boss is toxic, it means your boss is sending behaviors towards your way which are not acceptable to you. But you have also not taken any steps to stand there and set a boundary that no, boss, this is not acceptable. Have a honest conversation, uncomfortable but honest conversation with your boss or colleagues who are stepping on your boundaries. And for that, you need to also step back and check what are the boundaries that I need in order to be, constantly thriving. What people have gone into professional culture is languishing. This is the basic minimum I'm supposed to deliver. Let me deliver, and that's it. They're not thriving. They're not going out and taking initiatives to be their best self. Like you talked about unlocking their potential. So it's like if this person has the capacity to, lead 10 projects, he is happy leading only 2 projects, right? Because it's like, why should I put more efforts? So number one, be aware of your internal chat. What are you talking to yourself? That's very important. If you're telling yourself, okay, this is fine, I don't need to do more, I don't need to, be anything else than what I am, I don't need a side hustle, I don't need this, then you are limiting yourself. So that's the first thing. Become aware of time to time. Don't go to the coach, don't go to therapy, doesn't matter. But be your own. There is an internal coach sitting right inside you. So ask yourself, what is making me happy? What I need more than this now? How do I thrive wherever I am? So that's the first internal coaching that you need to do. Second step is also becoming aware of your boundaries. Now, boundaries are categorized into 2 parts. One boundary is your personal boundary. Now, personal boundary is where you ask yourself, what is acceptable to me about me? It's like, how am I going to discipline myself? What are the addictions I'm going to let go of? Now, when we talk of addiction, we only speak cigarette or alcohol. That's not true. We are addicted to social media. We are addicted to maybe a certain type of consumption of TV programs, or now Netflix and Amazon Prime program. That's taking away our productivity. So the self boundary comes there. What time am I going to get up? What kind of foods I'm going to eat so that my productivity doesn't get compromised? If I'm like having 10 coffees in a day, then it's going to cause my productivity a hit, because I'll keep needing it. So how do I stay optimal? So that's the private personal boundary that you start setting with regards to discipline and the internal talking, that if I want to reach there, what do I need to do? Do I need to upskill? Do I need to do a course? Do I need to meet somebody? So that is the personal boundary. You also need to have interpersonal boundaries, starting with your family to your work colleagues. When you start saying yes to overwork, what happens is your plate is so full that you will take that irritability back home, and that's what puts you in the comfort zone where you're like, only this much, not more. I'm not doing more than this. So develop your yes and no. What am I going to say yes to? What am I going to say no to? Now, more often than not, my clients are, how can I say no to my boss? Okay, and the whole question is that if you will not say no to your boss, your body will make you say. Wow. And if you realize that has happened to so many people, we are calling it burnout or whatever, but there comes a day when the employee is so tired, he will have some illness or some particular breakdown or something, and they're totally out. Like, I have this person who's got into this, that for 10 days she just couldn't get up and go to work. That's terrible. So what happens is, when you're not able to open your mouth and tell the person that, look, now I'm not comfortable doing this, your body will do it for you.
Yes.
Yeah, your body is going to go ahead and pull up an illness, which is, nobody can say no now. Yes. If I have fever, if I have, broken a leg, or if I have had an asthma attack, or if I've had an allergy attack, then nobody can say anything to me. We'll say, okay, stay at home. So always remember this. Set boundaries with your colleagues, even with your boss. Even if it is little hard, you are always afraid that, they will fire you from the job. I don't think firing anybody is bad. First thing. There's a lot of thing goes into firing anybody. There has to be solid reason for somebody to be fired. So remove that fear, but have that conversation with your colleagues, your superiors, that this is what is my boundary, where I wouldn't want to be overloaded. And if you're giving me this extra work, then please, relieve me of these duties.
Yes.
That kind of honest but difficult conversations everybody needs to have.
Yes, very nice.
And people need to also, one more important thing, we talk about breaks. Okay, and most of the employees are like, I take a break once in 6 months. We need to sleep every day. We don't need to take a break in 6 months.
Yes.
So I have something on my Friday, what I call a mindful minute, because our attention spans have gone down. So I start my clients on this small dose that at least every 3 hours, find that one mindful minute when you're going to slow down. When you are not going to be doing anything mammoth, go find a flower, look at it carefully. Okay, go find a colleague, smile at that colleague properly and nicely, and talk for that 1 minute. Give your body, like today I put in a butterfly thing. If you go to that pose, it's a simple thing, it's like, okay, you just put your hand here and tap. Now there's a science behind this, that when I'm tapping left and right, both my left and right hemisphere, my left hemisphere deals with language, right hemisphere deals with non-verbal imagery. There's so much stimulation on me when I'm working in the entire day. All information is got muddled. So when I do this tapping, even if you can't do a butterfly thing, do it on your thighs. Just for 1 minute. Give yourself that one mindful minute every 3 hours. Slow down so that your body gets the time to reset. So after you said, let's say you've had a very difficult conversation with your boss, all your heartbeat is going up, and you're like, oh my God, I spoke this to this person. I brought out this difficult topic. After that, give yourself that one mindful minute where you're going to sit down. You're going to give yourself that time to recollect it. We don't do that. We often jump from one work to another to another.
Correct.
Even if you've had a long traveling session, you've come back from your work, sit down, give yourself that one mindful minute. So this is something that, I have like a program that has, consult your internal coach all the time. Then set your own personal boundaries first.
Yeah.
Where am I? Yeah. Then set boundaries and be very ready to have those honest conversations with your colleagues and define your acceptable and non-acceptable.
Yeah.
Right. And then give yourself that mindful minute every day.
Yeah, very nicely explained, Sonal. Actually, this is the second exercise that I'm going to take and implement in my own personal journey. So, when we talk about the corporates, definitely you gave a very logical thing that you should have a habit of saying no, otherwise your body will say no. So when I used to be a team leader and a line manager, I used to follow that concept. If there is a conversation that needs to be addressed, we will go in a meeting room and either you are convinced or either I am convinced, right? So it cannot be the conversation which is ongoing, which is building the stress daily on a daily basis, morning, afternoon, before leaving for the job, while coming at the job. So that is very important. If there is a question, if there is a communication that needs to happen, it has to happen and get it over with a resolution or an outcome. The second thing that you highlighted is, if you are not going to say, your body is going to say. So a lot of times I have analyzed and I have seen in my experience that people carry those burden or whatever their bosses have said to their family, to their personal life, and then there are clashes because they are in stressed state of mind. So they yell at their spouse or their children. So the tension environment is getting built at their personal front as well, right? Which they are not able to balance. That's what we call balancing personal and professional life. And it's a very wrong myth that if you have a personal thing, to not carry it to the business, which is not at all possible.
You are a whole person. You'll carry your family to work and you will carry your work back to family. You are two different separate split parts. It's like if your child is unwell and you go to work, you cannot forget that your child is
right. Exactly.
The same way, if your boss is fired and said something unpleasant to you, it's going to stay in your nervous system. And if you're not aware of it, you're going to discharge it.
Correct.
Because tension needs to be released. This is a simple sentence everybody needs to understand. If there is tension, it requires release.
Yes. So, so I would like to ask you one more thing. So for professionals watching this, what do you suggest? How can they balance the pressures of their careers with their mental and emotional well-being?
The first thing they have to understand is the mindful minute can be like their segue or break from one zone to another. What they need to understand, like we had that we are a whole person. We do not leave anything somewhere, and even though people speak about it, but I don't think that it is possible, right? We carry the impressions or imprints of whatever we go through in our nervous system for a little while. Again, everybody is different. Some people's nervous system climbs fast, comes down fast, if I have to put it as simply as that. Some people's nervous systems will, climb fast but stay there and come down very, very slowly. And these are the people who will carry conversations in their mind and go on and on and on and on. So first thing, recognize. Recognize what is it and how is it that I respond to situations without judgment. So if instead of labeling, I'm a sensitive person and putting yourself down, go into that, this is how I respond to situations. That's the first thing there. So This is how I respond to my family member being unwell. So recognize that within yourself first. And then ask the second best question. What do I need to do so that this stays, but I become productive? Because this also needs done. So if you ask yourself, the answers will emerge. All of these self-care practices that today I need to prioritize my work in such a way that because my mind cannot think, like we said, survival brain comes up when we are in stress, so neocortex goes down. So then pick up those tasks which are not very heavy on thinking. Pick up those tasks kind of a thing first, so then slowly and steadily you'll get into the groove. The same way if an incident has happened with a boss or a colleague, again, first recognition is my nervous system has taken a hit because of this interaction. Okay, what's happening to me? Now all these eyes, touch therapy that I have been sharing, they will be always handy. Okay, I can give you one more video of Dr. Kate Truitt where she's talking about how to get the amygdala down through touch. Okay, it's a very simple thing, not butterfly thing. Can you see me? Is it possible for you to see me?
Yes, I can. I can.
Okay, so what we do is with our hands. Okay, we start this. Okay, you can do it with me. You'll already automatically start feeling stuff. Okay, this is Dr. Kate Truitt has put up this particular thing. Do it ever so slowly. Don't do it fast.
Okay.
Okay. And now move and bring it here. Bring it here. Move your hand. Give a gentle, not only with the finger, with the whole hand.
Okay.
When you do this, okay, now do this. Now do this. Okay. Tell me, which one did you like out of all the 4 actions that you did?
I think this one.
This one, right? So right now your neocortex is something that is very much online. Okay. So this is the touch therapy. The moment you start feeling your nervous system getting activated, do this to bring it down immediately. And this is something that you can do anywhere, wherever you are. Nobody's going to notice and find that you're doing something unusual. Like for me, this is the most important thing because this is how we wipe tears. It's like reminiscent of somebody reassuring you. So immediately do this. See your nervous system, get your system down, and then ask the third important question is, what do I need to happen so that this thing gets, integrated within me?
Wow.
So if it has happened with my boss, okay, and I ask myself, then what do I need? So maybe I need to write it down, or maybe I need to just open my audio and give whatever I need to give. All right, whatever it feels like. So I do that. Or I pick up a friend and I said, don't answer me anything. Stand there and listen to me. And I give up everything that I want to give out. So these are few things that you can do because if there is tension, it needs to be released. Okay?
Yeah.
So if somebody is unwell, then if I ask myself, what do I need? Then I need a hand squeeze. So if there is nobody around, I'll give myself a hand squeeze. If there's a friend around, I tell my friend, please hold my hand for a minute. I need to feel calm. Mostly my spouse is around, so I ask my spouse to do that to me. 2 minutes hug, I'll be okay. So each person needs to find that resource within themselves by this one question. What do I need to happen in this moment for me to handle this? Okay, so tell me, let us do this exercise with you. Supposing you've had a very difficult conversation. Okay, let's say do you have a boss?
No, I just resigned from a job in 2022.
Okay, but can you bring it in your mind that there is a boss and he gave you a very unpleasant time. Okay. First thing, recognize I was very angry that moment. Okay. What was the body sensation that you were having at that?
At that point in time, for me, it was I need to reply back. I cannot let him go with so much of download.
Correct. Did you respond it to him?
Not. No.
No. Okay. So if you now ask that this happened, I wanted to respond, but I didn't. So now the tension is in me. What do I need in order for me to release this?
Yes.
What comes up for you? Tell me. What comes up?
I think I need to take a breather, wash my face, get composed, be with myself for 5-10 minutes, and I don't used to take breaks with people. I used to just go alone for 5-10 minutes in the cafeteria or outside the premises and just talk to myself. That's what I used to do.
Okay, right. And how would that work for you?
If you give yourself some time in that stress moment, it decreases the level of anxiety or stress that you had. And if you would have responded with that much intensity, it would have backfired on you, because
Yeah,
ultimately he is at a designation, or she is at a designation, right? So take some moment of understanding, be mindful of what you are about to do, what you are about to say. That will brings a lot of clarity. Even if
right,
you want to reply on emails, the your mind, impacts the language of your email.
right. So what does that tell you about your nervous system? That how is your nervous system going up and down?
Hmm.
See, how is it going? Like you're actually noticing what? That okay, I want to say something, but right now
But
I cannot say it. So I need
yes,
5 minutes to calm down.
yes.
I will take 5 minutes. I will talk to myself. So verbal, how do you say, release is what you are going for. All right. And after that, now,
Hmm.
so how did you deal with that part? Supposing you had to do it today, what would you do?
I'll wait for 30 minutes. I'll draft an email on reply. I'll read it again and again, and will do the editing so that I come up professionally and not
Hmm.
out of frustration or arrogance. That is important for me. That's what I want. I will give the reply, but in a sober and subtle manner, so that he
Okay.
understands my point and do not feel bad about what has happened and what was expected. So that is
Right.
very important. Yes,
Yeah. So who are you being in the moment that you're thinking this?
myself.
What kind of a person you're coming across?
Very composed.
A person who values being composed,
Yes,
being sober, and being able to say what they want without really creating
yeah,
any hostility. Right?
yes,
So
yes.
that is the last question you should always ask.
Mm-hmm.
How do I
Mm-hmm.
want to be coming across as a person
Mm-hmm.
to myself when I deal with this situation?
Wow.
So that is the last question you always need, because in that question you will have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a person I am?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who do I need to be in this moment
Mm-hmm.
so that I like myself?
Wow.
Because at the end of it, we are sleeping with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if let's say firing the boss is something that will make me feel that okay, I did well, all right, no judgment, then that's what you value, being able to tell the person as it is.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to somebody who says, no, I want to be able to come out feeling I'm a composed person. I handle this in a very calm way. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I value. So that is why the last question you always ask as a professional when you are stuck in a tough situation is, who do I want to be? So that I like myself at the end of this interaction.
Wow, Sonal, that's a very important aspect and very relevant question, because we have been doing that since ages, but we never realized that
Ah,
how do you want to be coming up as a person. So that's very important. Wow.
yeah.
So what I understood is acknowledgement. That's what I always have followed. Acknowledgement is the first step towards improvisation. So first you need to take a moment, breathe in, breathe out, and then understand what is the problem, how can you get that fixed, right? So thanks a lot. That was really insightful, Sonal, I must say. And I'm glad that I'm connected to you. I found you on LinkedIn, and that's how we
Yeah,
are
I know.
connected. So before we apart, and definitely I will invite you for further sessions of Expert Edge
Yes.
series.
Thank you so much.
So before we part, any thoughts that you would like to share with the audience?
Like what I put up on my LinkedIn is that all stress is more or less self-generated. Look
Mm-hmm.
inside. What is it that is happening inside? When somebody says anything, when something happens to you, when something is around you, always look inside and then ask these vital questions of yourself that, what's happening? How do I take care of myself here? And who do I want to be that, I will like myself more. These are the things, and there are lots of things that you can do to take care of yourself. And
Yes.
always keep the power of designing your life in your own hands.
Yes.
Okay?
And
Never start a sentence with they. Start the sentence with I.
yeah, I holds a lot of power.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sonal, for so much insights. And definitely, I will put up the details for Sonal in the description below. So just go ahead, and if you want to get in conversation with Sonal, want to seek help from her or any professional, feel free, because the last thing that people do today is prioritize themselves. We have a habit of prioritizing each and everything, each and every event except ourselves. So the first love is self love. Just get into the habit of doing that. So thanks a lot, Sonal, for taking out time to join me today.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. I enjoyed talking. Thank you for trusting me, I would say. Yes,
You
it was
are
amazing
amazing.
talking.
You are
Thank you
amazing.
so
You're
much.
awesome,
Thank
Sonal.
you.
I'm
Thank
glad.
you.
So, thank you once again, and stay tuned for more episodes of Expert Edge, where I continue to bring you the best in career and personal development. Stay tuned,
So,
stay blessed,
yeah,
take
I
care.
really appreciate you doing this, Jyoti. Yes, keep doing it. May you have like thousands and 2000s of episodes. Okay?
Yes, thank you,
Yeah,
Sonal.
all the
Thank you.
best.
Goodbye.